As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICANN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized SEMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a SEMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICANN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the SEMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the SEMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Dear professional colleagues, these are undoubtedly unprecedented times. Social and economic indices are undoubtedly performing below all expectations. No nation is spared, not even the advanced nations. Global community is battling environmental, economic, technological, political, and social challenges all at the same time. Most developing economies are experiencing rising unemployment, spreading inflation, escalating and humiliating poverty, security breaches, trade wars, tensions, political instability, and deteriorating climatic changes with all their consequences. As professional accountants, we must ceaselessly support government and business leaders in charting a robust and viable future without neglecting the current needs. As we strive to prosper financially, we must do so through sustainable methods, creating value while ensuring we pay adequate attention to the climate. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the focus of the ICANN's 52nd Annual Accountants Conference, the theme of which is Nigeria Adopting Sustainability for Economic Prosperity. I invite you all to join us as we learn and relearn from indigenous and international resource persons between October 10 and 14, 2022 at the Abuja International Conference Center. It surely promises to be a truly transformative experience. See you in Abuja in October. Thanks and God bless.
Good evening, professional colleagues, friends of the Chartered Institute of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, students, and ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure once again to welcome you to another exciting moment of our ICANN on air. This day, Tuesday, the 6th day of the month of September 2022. And I sincerely want to acknowledge all our viewers who are globally connected to this program every Tuesday and every Thursday, educating and, tapping from the wealth of experience of some of our guests. And today I've come with a very interesting topic just to let you know the importance of accounting and the opportunity that avails to us. And the topic before me this evening is nothing but opportunities for accountants in the emergence of Nigerians' sports economy. There is an economy that is growing. You and I are familiar with the fintech, with artificial intelligence, another area. There is emergence of Nigerian sport economy. And what are the opportunities that are about? I have with me to discuss this in details Mr. Nelson Ine, the Executive Director of the GTI Asset Management and Trust Limited. He is an experienced banker and sport management strategist, the executive director of GTI Asset Management and Trust Limited. Presently, he is the one in charge of the Nigerian Football Fund, TNFF, a unique project package to stimulate the emergence of the viral football economy in Nigeria. He has a vast experience in financial and sport sector. He has the authority dealing clerk of the Nigerian Stock Exchange Limited. To diversify his wealth of experience, he has stints with the various organizations in the sports sector, in marketing, training, sport logistics management, talent management and development, and special consultancy. He holds a bachelor's degree in economics from the Great University of Ibadan, a master's in banking and finance from University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and an MSA in sports administration from the International Academy of Sports Science and Technology in Switzerland, an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Stockbroker. Our guest today is well diversified, well loaded, taking us to another area, another scope where we as chartered accountant, professional accountant can tap into. I want you to just pick your pen, pick your book, and get set for another educative section today as I go on a very short break. And when I'll be coming in, my guest will be in with me to do justice to the topic today. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Save the date. Make it in October to remember as you register and plan to attend the 52nd ICANN Annual Accountants Conference. Date 10th to 14th October 2022. Venue ICC Abuja and Sheraton Abuja. For more inquiries, call 070-501-80222 or 090-625-47263. You can also visit the ICANN website www.icanig.org to register. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome back, welcome back. And I think I have my guest coming in with me on the topic of opportunity for accountant in the emergence of the Nigerian sports economy today. Mr. Nelson Ine, good evening to the show this evening.
Good evening, sir. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed professional accountants. It's my pleasure to be with you on this program.
Thank you very much. So we delve straight into the business of today. Let me start by saying there are many positive human endeavors that Nigeria has left largely untapped, which we can call the virgin area. And sports is one of them. I must say, when some people saw this topic, they were like a quest. Sport is one of the untapped area. In other climes, sport is a major revenue earner and a major economic booster. Please, can you educate us, those that are connected globally? What is sports? What is sport economy and sport economics?
Thank you, moderator. Sports actually involves physical activities between individuals. And these physical activities could be for social purposes and also could be for business motive. And sports is also one of the entertainment, belongs to one of the entertainment sector. So for sports, what is important is behind the physical activity that a lot of people see and used to, when you now relate it to sports business, there's a whole world of economic business activity, business component behind. And the modern trend in sports these days is focusing more on sports business. If you look at the evolution of sports, sports started mainly from just interaction between individuals for social integration, for peace building, for ensuring that people get physically active so they don't live a kind of sedentary life because of its health benefits. But beyond all these physical activities involving individuals, you have the other aspect of sports, which is sports business. And that is an area that Nigeria is here to catch up with the other parts of the developed world. And we have great potentials in that area. Because if you look at the Nigerian population, it's a very youthful population. And not just youthful as that, the Nigerian population is a very talented population based on a lot of evidences we can see all over the world in various tournaments, in the Olympics, in the World Cup, where you see athletes of Nigerian descent representing other countries. And let me just even drop this. You see, in the last Olympics, athletes of Nigerian descent representing other countries won more medals than Nigerians representing Nigeria as a country. And that also attests to the amount of wastages we actually get involved in this kind of in our system, where there are so many assets we need to activate to generate a lot of revenue, to create a lot of economic activities. But those areas have not been given due attention because probably I could say due to lack of knowledge or due to the fact that probably we need to just review the whole process and see how we can develop that sector. Sports, as far as Nigeria is concerned, from a comparative advantage, is the green oil that we have not tapped into. The fact is that we have a very huge population, a huge market willing to consume sports. And that is why you see the EPL and other foreign leagues have so much demand. And it is that demand, that crave for these sports activities that is generating a lot of revenue for the digital television stations, even in Nigeria here. And you see the followership in Nigeria, meaning that Nigerians are yearning for quality sports. And that is what we need to give to Nigeria because we have the talent, we have the market, but what is missing is just the funding and the management. And that is something
wonderful
to look at.
Wonderful. That is a very good way to start simplifying what it takes, what sport is about, sport economy, and sport economics itself. You know, talking about from the business perspective, entertainment, social, physical fitness. And you said something that is very germane, which I'm sure our viewers today will definitely capitalize on. That Nigerian is full of youth and talented one for that matter, which we are yet to tap into. And I learned a new word, green oil, where we are yet to tap into. But let me take it from this angle, the health angle, which you mentioned in your intro. They said health is wealth. How important is sport to health and the well-being of citizens generally?
It is extremely important. And that is also one area a lot of us in this part of the world have taken for granted. If you recall, many of the organizations in the past, probably in the 70s and 80s, they all have sport recreational facilities. Many of the big organizations. And it is for the reason because of the importance of sports for their staff to become very active, not to live the sedentary kind of lifestyle. And this sedentary lifestyle also affects productivity in the office because you need a sound mind to be very efficient in the office. But if you look at the trend today, the gym, the various sporting gyms have come to probably provide some kind of alternative for those vast sports facilities a lot of those companies used to have in those days. But sports is very important, and even for any corporate organization, they need to create time to encourage a lot of their staff to register with the gym, to become very active, because given the nature of our job, especially in Lagos, you stay in the office, you get into the traffic. By the time you get home, you are watching television. You'll find out that a lot of young men and women, ladies and young men today, the sedentary lifestyle is having a serious health effect on them. So it is encouraged that people should go out and be active. And the more active you see, it's just like your car you service. After a while, you need to service the car. And the only way to service this body is through physical activity. And that is why in the sports area, in the sports space, there's what we call health enhancing physical activity. When you get involved in those physical activities, it enhances the health. And like you said, your health is your wealth. So you find out that a lot of companies, organizations are not looking at that benefit, but it is something they need to actually pay attention to and create that time and encourage a lot of their staff to get involved in sports for their own productivity in the office.
Very wonderful submission, Mr. Ine. Health is wealth. And you took us back to those days when multinational go all out to have sporting recreational, center, where Fridays after, few times you come out in the evening, even Saturday morning, it's made
Exactly.
compulsory to be part of some of those activities so
Exactly.
that you can keep fit. But these days, I don't want to believe the economic crunch is affected it. But you have alluded that it's key that everyone must get involved in the physical activity so that we can keep fit and possibly look younger. Let me ask, as an expert, before I take that question, let me state to our viewers who are globally connected that Mr. Ine is here. But we are just starting. We have a lot to share with you as professional accountant. The opportunity that are bound in this emerging sport activity, not just the fitness alone, but how we can make good, good money for ourselves. So start throwing in your question and I'll be able to roll it over. Mr. Ine, as an expert, can you educate us more? How true is it that they claim that in some quarters there are thousands of indigenous sport and sporting games across the globe today? How true is that?
It is very correct. And let me just use Nigeria as a classical example, just to buttress that point. It's not all sports that is being practiced all over the world that is seen globally, because the Olympics has certain sports that are cut out that have been accepted as sports. They call them Olympic sports. But those Olympic sports and most of the sports we see on our televisions are not the only sporting games and activities that happen all over the world. For example, let us come back home to Nigeria. You have what we call the Kokowa. The Kokowa is the indigenous wrestling match. We also have what we call Dambe. Dambe is the local boxing. You don't see them on television. You don't see them, but they have their own local followership. Let me even just say this. I was in Senegal and they have this local wrestling in Senegal. To my greatest surprise, the followership of that sport is even higher than football. And yes, it's higher than football. On the day of the finals of that local wrestling in Senegal, the stadium is filled to capacity. It is sports, music, cultural display, all combined in one. And the wrestlers in that tournament, I'm talking about 13 years ago, the prize money as at 13 years ago was about 36 million naira equivalent then. We win the championship of that tournament. And coincidentally, the champion of that tournament is called Yekini. And I now asked, I said, why Yekini? I know Yekini is not a Senegalese name. They said they named him after the Nigerian footballer called Yekini because of his son and his proficiency in football. And that's why that champion nicknamed himself Yekini. So you have such sports all over the world in different countries. And you still have the Ayu game that is more popular among the local Nigerian people. So you have sports all over the world that you don't see on television at the international screen and they are not Olympic sports too. So gradually over the years, sports apply to be part of the Olympics, and gradually they get admitted into the Olympics after observing them. They first of all come as trial sports, they call them demonstration sports, and after a while they standardize the rules governing the sports, and after some time it is admitted into the Olympics. It's admitted as one of the Olympic sports. So there's also a process to get that admitted. So definitely, you are very right when you say not all the sports we see on TV are the only ones that that are practiced all over the world.
That's a very good one to say that even the indigenous one you've mentioned few, the Kokoa, the Dambe, the Ayu, and I remember while we were growing up, there is one we call Gidigbo.
Exactly.
Well, he's a wrestling
That's
man.
wrestling. That's wrestling. People
Wrestling,
is
yeah,
wrestling.
but locally we call it Gidigbo. If you are
Yes,
able to cover, we'll bring you up and carry you up
exactly.
and throw you down.
And
So now,
what some countries have done with those local sports is they've repackaged them and promoted them to a very high level with a lot of business components associated with the sports. And we can also do the same locally too. We can also
That's an eye opener. If we can open up that area, so let's look
yes.
at how sport can contribute to Nigeria economy. And permit me to ask this question: that what are the major generating revenue generating sources in sports when you consider the major sporting activity?
Yes, you see, sports can contribute a lot to our economy, just like it's being like you have it in other developed countries, in Europe, in America, and even in Asia. But unfortunately, the contribution of sports. If you look at the figures released by the Bureau of Statistics in Nigeria to the GDP, is very, very low. In fact, I'll call it insignificant compared to the potential of sports in this country. We are talking of a country with 70 million youths, a 70% youthful population. So if we are going by the estimate of 200 million, we are saying that we have a youthful population of about 140 million. It's not just a youthful population, it's a youthful population that has very strong demand to consume sports activities, as demonstrated by what we have seen. So and again, a lot of the youth restiveness we are having in this country, that can be properly channeled through sports to very productive means, to create jobs, to generate revenue, to create a lot of multiplier effects in the economic space. But we are not doing all that now. So these are some of the areas we need to look at. What other countries in Europe and America have done is to capture the youthful energy and channel it properly into sports. That is why in America, you see various sports, from wrestling to American football, to rugby, to ice hockey, to dancing, to music. Everything is fully developed. And if you look at their intercollegiate games, what we call the Nuga in Nigeria here, I participated in Nuga. In point of fact, I was the last football captain that won the last gold medal for University of Ibadan before I graduated. But I'm so sad when I look at the university system today. Ideally, the university system is supposed to have intercollegiate football games, intercollegiate basketball games, intercollegiate volleyball games, hockey games, athletics. So imagine the kind of number of youths the industry we are even going to create in terms of producing merchandising for those athletes, footwears for those athletes, in terms of the economic activity we are going to build around, just ensuring that we have an annual sporting event for for the over 200 universities in Nigeria, year in, year out, like you have in America. Just picture that situation and see the kind of economic multiplier effect we are talking about. So if you ask me, that is a huge chunk of economic activity that can be deployed into our ecosystem, but which today now is very docile. It's not being activated. It's not because the talent to run that event is not available. The youths are available, they are ready, but just the environment is just not ready for them. And we complain about youth restiveness, we complain about them not having the right role models. I mean, this is just even one way to bring some kind of level of peace and serious productivity. I mean, we've seen it in America. The intercollegiate games in America produce all the athletes that represent America in the Olympic Games, and also produce the draft for the NBA. And when you look at the NBA, the basketball league in America, we are talking of young athletes earning as much as $5 million, $6 million per month. Per month. Please, let me state this clearly. The professional sportsmen are the highest paid employees in the world. You can go and confirm the facts. They are the highest paid employees. The professional sports athletes are the highest paid employees in the world. We all know about the EPL, where athletes earn as much as 250,000 pounds per week. Those are not even the grade A athletes. I will consider those as the grade D athletes. The grade D athletes earn as much as 500,000 pounds per week. And some earn as much as 750,000 pounds per week. And the likes of Ronaldo and Messi, they earn, and Mbappe, they earn as much as 1 million pounds per week. Not per month. I'm talking per week. So even some of our own athletes, local athletes that have been exported to the European League, go and check what they earn as salary on weekly basis. How many professionals earn that kind of money, even in the normal profession, earn that kind of money? Even the doctors, the engineers, the accountants, how many of them earn about 500,000 per week as salary? These are employees. But so you see, there's huge potential in the sporting industry, and all we need to do is to activate that potential, that green oil. The sports in Nigeria today is green oil. It's because we are not using our sports very well. We keep on exporting everything. We export all our raw materials. We export all our athletes. Even we export our crude oil or refined. So what we have actually practically done is to export all our value chain to other countries. And at the end of the day, we come back and say the economy is not moving well. The economy is not doing well. And all those opportunities are just there available, you know.
Mr. Ede, you can say that again. Yeah, even from what you have said, you are almost taking me off my profession as an energy expert, and possibly considering if I can look at a sport that I'll venture into. Because when you start calling the figures, 250,000, per week, pounds per week, I wish I'm going to redirect my energy from this anchor and those things that I'm doing, possibly considering sports as the next thing so that I can start feeding. But that's on a lighter mode. Let me proceed with this.
Yes, sorry. Let me address another question you asked. Say, how does it generate revenue?
Yeah.
How does sports generate revenue? Please, let me just address that now. Now, from the sporting activities, what you do is that you have the various revenue components of sports. You have the TV rights. You have the TV rights. You have the sponsorship deals. You have tickets, gate takings from ticket sales. You also have merchandising, and you have endorsement. Now, in sports revenue generating model, the TV rights generate almost about 70 to 80% of the revenue in sports business. And that is why some of us today can watch the EPL taking place in England, in Nigeria here, because there's TV. And a lot of revenue is generated from only that source for the football in England. And as at the last deal that was struck for the EPL TV rights, the last deal that was struck this year for 2023-2025 to 2025 season was 10.5 billion pounds revenues to be generated from TV rights. And even those of us watching the EPL from Nigeria is also part of people contributing to that revenue, because we also have to pay for that right to be able to watch those matches. So just like the World Cup, the Olympics, and the NBA, TV rights generate a lot of revenue for sport. And then it comes to sponsorship. Sponsorship, a lot of our corporate organizations use the sports platform to promote their brands and their goods. for advertisement, use it as a platform for advertisement to promote their brand, to promote their good, to increase their sales and turnover, and to get demand for their goods and services. So the sports properties generate a lot of revenue through sponsorship. Then you talk of merchandising. Merchandising is the outfits used for the sport. So through the promotion of the sports tournament, a lot of those producers of sports apparels sell these apparels to a lot of people. So you're a Man U fan, you are buying the Man U jersey, they are making money out of that. Man U is making money. The Nike, the Adidas of this world, the Puma of this world, the producers of all these apparels also generate a lot of money. If you recall, there was one particular World Cup, the last World Cup in Russia. The Nigerian jersey sold out in just a couple of days when it was launched because people find it to be very, very attractive. That's a lot of money the company Nike has made from that jersey, and also certain amount of money is also paid to the Nigerian national team for that deal. So these are some of the various sources of generating revenue from sports, apart from the gate tickets that we are all aware of, that when you go to watch sports activities, you pay gate tickets to watch those matches. And for some of these major events, like the World Cup, the Olympics, I could remember in 2014 in Brazil, I was in Brazil. Just to watch the semifinals of the World Cup was costing minimum ticket of $3,500 to $4,000 per person. And there were a lot of people who wanted to buy those tickets.
So that's a very wonderful, a very great submission, Mr. Inne. And you know, like my producer was talking to me behind the scene, that investing in, if I have to go to football now, I might end up breaking my leg. But you've opened my eyes to other area as professional accountant, where my expertise will definitely be needed. Talking about the TV rights, sponsorship, merchandising. I'm a Man U fan, and I know what I invest so much in getting their jersey, and a lot of us there. So we have a lot of such, and possibly talk about commentating. You know, as a commentator, a lot will definitely be earned. So you are opening our eyes so that it won't be debit and credit alone, but we can make use of some of those things. And I think I want to especially recognize our viewers. Fagbola has actually been dropping some question. I saw Dr. Alebio Shu the other time, Antonia, Mr. You are all appreciated and welcome. Let me go on, Mr. Ine. I'm aware that GTI Capital Limited, your parent company, is promoting a course, they tag the Nigerian Football Fund, TNFF. Please educate our viewers on this initiative.
Okay, thank you very much, moderator. The Nigerian Football Fund, it's called the TNFF. We've actually researched a lot and looked at the various problems affecting our sports development in the country in view of the great potentials we have in this country. And we came up with the Nigerian Football Fund project. The Nigerian Football Fund project is actually to see how we can provide solutions, sustainable solutions for our sports development. And our focus is on the business component of our sports. That is the area that has been neglected over the years. And we know the potential there is quite huge. And what are we looking at is to ensure that we come up with a fund. The TNFF, we have the fund, we have the project. The TNFF itself is a project. The fund aspect of it is just the enabler. The TNFF looks at the sports project holistically. But in trying to solve these problems of the sports sector, it requires a lot of funding. So the fund aspect of it is just the enabler to enable us achieve the objectives of the TNFF. And the TNFF is going to be looking at the various sports properties in this country and see how we can activate those properties to generate a lot of revenues. So we expect a lot of investors to invest in the TNFF because research has revealed that the sports property is like an estate property. It's an intangible property, but it's like an estate property that grows over time. And it will continue to grow because the demand, as far as population is growing, and demand for sports activities, goods, and services is growing, that property will keep growing. And that is what the TNFF is focusing on. Apart from that, the TNFF is trying to activate some of our sports properties, especially the Nigerian Football League. Some people will say that the way they watch the Premier League, the Nigerian Football League is not available. We are looking at how the TNFF is going to provide a lot of support in that area. So we expect in a short time, Nigerians are going to be seeing the Nigerian League fully. But again, beyond that, we have the talent. So in terms of the entertainment value that the Nigerian League is going to be providing in future, some of us are strongly of the opinion that in some few years' time, Nigerian League, in terms of quality of entertainment, is going to match the Premier League and many of the European leagues. Why? Because Nigeria has the talent base to achieve that. If you look at the music industry today, the music industry have almost, in fact, as far as I'm concerned, they've gotten to that level where they are accepted internationally. The Nigerian music, they sing in pidgin English. And the international music has accepted the Nigerian music as Afrobeat and is selling all over the world. It's about talent. What they did in the music industry is funding. The funding, the production of the musical videos to ensure that these boys are out there, the world can see them. And today, the Nigerian musician has won the Grammy Award. It's not even about winning the Grammy Award alone. If you are following the music industry, the Nigerian musicians are selling out all over the world. Burna Boy, Wizkid, Davido, Rema, and the rest of them. Imagine the amount of money in terms of foreign currency those boys are generating that are remitting back home. In terms of value added to the gross domestic product. What about the job creation in terms of all the team that is producing their musical videos? What about the dancers? What about the production crew that is being paid? What about all the shows and all the various activities as a build-up to the show? What about the radio stations that are going to run the adverts, the television stations that are going to run the adverts, the money they are making and everything? And you can see all the brands, they are all over these musicians, endorsing them as brand ambassadors, building a whole, you can see the music industry, they build a whole new ecosystem that is contributing a lot to the gross domestic product. Now, sports even have greater potential than music all over the world because the followership is more. So with the TNFF project is how we can activate those sports properties to start generating a lot of revenue. So for a lot of Nigerians, what we've done is to create a window of investment for them to be able to invest in that sports property. So as far as the sports property is growing, they can get some very good returns on their investment. And we are convinced in some few years to come, the TNFF will even pay more than a lot of the financial instruments they are saying now. You can verify this. The EPL was repackaged in 1992. That's why they are celebrating 30 years now. If you are following the EPL. The EPL started in 1992 with just a 200 million activation fund. And what they got that year was over 200 million in terms of revenue generated from TV rights and sponsorship. As we speak today, they've grown that value from that 200 million of TV rights in 30 years to 10.5 billion pounds. That is how the sports property grew. Now, if we even reverse it and say, okay, let's leave football and look at other sports. If you go and look at the Indian Premier League, that one is based on cricket because their own comparative advantage is cricket. If you also look at the evolution of the cricket league was repackaged the way we are trying to repackage the Nigerian sports sector now. It was repackaged in 2008. That was 15 years ago. As we speak today, that league started with 101 million TV rights for 10 years. After 10 years, it grew to 501 million TV rights, 510 million TV rights for 5 years. And after 5 years, they just closed the deal in April for $6.2 billion, a leap from 500 million to $6.2 billion. We've looked at the whole environmental scenario in Nigeria. Nigeria has all the variables to replicate those same kind of improvements in our sports revenue because we have the population, we have the talent. So it will get to a point. The Nigerian sport is not only going to be localized, it's going to be exported to other parts of the world. And we are going to be generating a lot of revenue, just like the EPL is being exported to us today, the La Liga, the Bundesliga. We all pay to watch those matches. So we believe in some few years' time, when we get to try to put our sports in order, we have a lot of Nigerians in diaspora that also want to watch the Nigerian sports the way they are watching the Nigerian movie today. So
very wonderful education on what TNFF is all about. You can see I'm just glued to it. Just to see very wonderful initiative by GTI Capital Limited. You know, there is nothing as believing in ourselves. You said certain thing. We have the talent, we have the population. The normal day when EPL starts, you see the way some of us rush off from office to make sure we want to go and view it is because there are some enablers behind the scene who saw the vision and were able to buy into it. But I want to say this because it's very key and germane to me. Can you educate our viewers the opportunity available? You know, that's what I would call the nitty-gritty for professional accountant in this TNFF initiative. What are the opportunities that are bound for us?
Well, I'll say thank you for the question. The potentials are quite great for even the accountants because they have a very significant role to play. If you look at our sports today, there's a lot of problems with mismanagement of funds, a lot of problem of lack of accountability, lack of transparency. And I know, based on my experience, that even a lot of the international accounting firms are involved with the FIFA of this world. They are also involved with IOC, the Olympic movement, and they are involved with all the Premier League teams and even the EPL. If you look at the reports of the EPL, you know that it's one of the prominent accounting firms that is always churning out the figures and the reports for the EPL, giving us the statistics, giving us the financials. And that is one area the TNFF is also going to, one of the objectives the TNFF will be trying to achieve in some few years from now, because we need to build the trust between the sports sector and corporate Nigeria in terms of the reporting of the financials, in terms of the auditing of the records to ensure that those figures are realistic, and in terms of also tax returns for a lot of revenues that are going to be generated, individual tax returns and corporate tax returns. So the accountants have a lot of role to play. And with the kind of system we are trying to develop with the TNFF, we are foreseeing a situation many of these clubs will have to hire accountants as we go along, because it's part of our plan. Not only the football clubs, they need the auditors, they need the accountants for their own internal financial record keeping and reporting, because those are going to be part of the corporate governance structures the TNFF is trying to put in place to ensure there's proper transparency and accountability in the system, not only with the clubs, even with the management bodies. And we also believe by extension, over time, is going to extend to a lot of the sporting federations that we have in this country. And we believe that as we continue to grow the sports ecosystem, there will be a lot of opportunities for accountants, because for every organization, there's always a need for accountants. There's always a need for record keeping, for reporting, and for the auditing, and also for the filing of the tax returns. So as far as the sports ecosystem is growing, there's a very strong need for the accountant, because that is where the trust between the sports sector and the investing public and even the other stakeholders, that is where we build the trust through proper accountability of the financial activities of sports, and through proper auditing, and even tax returns, and a lot of revenue going to the the government in terms of tax, individual tax and corporate tax from a lot of those organizations.
Very wonderful submission. And I can see some comments coming in. That may not be too much of question because people are actually noting when you're talking about the opportunities. You know, those trainings that we've had over years is high time we bring to bear. And I saw someone talking about the institute possibly introducing sporting activity. Yes, that's from Fagbola, saying it won't be a bad deal if we introduce into our curriculum sporting accounting as a form of specialized business like insurance. And from what you said, I think we can allude to that so that we can understand the nitty gritty. And you just said that the highest honor when it comes to professional as we speak are the sport people. And I concur to that. The footballers, the athletics, the basketballer, the Akim Olajuwon of this of that we can make mention of. So I think it's an area of consideration with this initiative that TNFF has brought to bear. I want to pick this again. Uh, Nigerian sporting talents have been making giant strides around the world. Is there a way as a country that we can take advantage of these sporting individual successes for economic prosperity, considering that most of them were able to achieve this feat by tapping into foreign facility? An example is Toby Amushon and the other side. So, is there a way that we can tap into this opportunity, the successes that they are granting with this TNFF project?
Yes, you see, if you look at sports generally from the Nigerian perspective, we've not done so well locally in terms of even developing our athletes. A lot of the athletes we develop today or we are celebrating today, they were developed with foreign facilities and management. Yes, we identify them locally, like I said, everything we export, we identify them locally, but if we really want to take credit for them, in terms of the input and development of those athletes, I would say our contribution was not so much in terms of their training and facilities that is required to get to that, to be able to operate at that level of performance, which is also what the TNFF is going to be focusing on in terms of our facilities locally. But you see, these facilities require a lot of funding. These funding are not just going to come as grants. We are looking at this funding purely from a business perspective because we know that a lot of these sporting facilities also have huge potentials to generate a lot of revenue. So for us, we are going to be looking at development of local facilities. We're also going to be looking at motivating the local athletes. What we could use the Toby Amusa of this world. In fact, let me even say this. The Toby Amusa of this world and many of our athletes, even footballers abroad, they've generated a lot of foreign exchange remitted back home. The only thing we've not been capturing that segment of funds generated by foreign athletes to our economy. That is an area we need to, so as to separate it from other diaspora funds that are coming in. With that, we definitely appreciate the impact of what these people are contributing to our local economy. But we also believe that we have a responsibility to develop our athletes, our talents locally. Jamaica has been able to achieve that feat. Let me also say this for a fact. All athletes that have won the 100 meters for several years, their origins have been traced to West Africa, meaning that West Africa, so even many of those athletes from America, Barbados, Caribbean islands, and even Canada, if you look at all of them, they're all blacks. And they've traced their origin to West Africa. And even if you look at Africa today, just apart from what happened in the Commonwealth Games, where a Kenyan won the short sprints mostly are won by West African athletes because we have what is called the fast twitch muscles. West Africans are blessed with fast twitch muscles. Those fast twitch muscles are part of the genetical makeup you require to be able to excel in short sprints. While those in high altitude countries like Kenya, Ethiopia, and other places, they excel in long distance because of the adaptation of the environment to be able to take in oxygen for long distances. So, and we even have the high altitude, some high altitude plateaus in Nigeria that we can even develop long distance runners. So we have that. We have the talent. What we just lack is just the commitment, the funding, and the right structures to achieve that. Jamaica today, all their athletes are home-based. I mean, if you look at in terms of wealth, in terms of everything, I mean, if you look at Jamaica vis-a-vis Nigeria, if Jamaica can achieve it because they have the talent, Nigeria also has the talent. So if we even look at West Africa, if you say they are from West Africa, Nigeria has almost 60%, if not more, of the West African population. So if we go by just estimates, you can say Nigeria has a very high probability of producing those athletes like we've done in the past. So we can do it, we can develop those athletes here. We need to focus on our tertiary institutions. Your tertiary institutions is where your young athletes are. Even other countries, America, Europe, get all their athletes from their tertiary institution. They identify them from primary and secondary schools, and many of them develop fully at the tertiary level. So, but again, if you look at our tertiary institution and look at the sports, we have completely ignored that area. Thank God for IFL, the Higher Institution Football League. But how regular is the Higher Institution Football League? We can really achieve so much. We can achieve so much. And someone like me, my heart bleeds when I look at this country. I look at the level of wastage in this country. The level of wastage is so huge. We have so much we waste on a daily basis. The man hours we waste on a daily basis, the talents we ignore, and even sometimes some of these actions, we need to sit down and look at the cost-benefit analysis. Cost-benefit analysis from a social perspective. What is the cost of keeping a school shut down for 1 month? We need to sit down and the experts need to do that cost. So in our decision-making process, we can extract everything totally and take wise decisions so that we don't end up as penny wise, pound foolish.
Very.
And I can see that playing out with what we are going through now in this country. We are not looking at the opportunity cost of certain things we shut down. We are not looking at it. We are just looking at, we just take it for granted. We are not doing detailed study of the cost implication, the social cost, the economic cost, the financial cost, the psychological cost, the emotional cost. Put all the costs together.
You can name it.
So you just see that we are just penny wise, pound foolish. And there's always a room to improve on some of these things.
Very wonderful submission. But one thing I've seen is that time is always not our friend. Before we ask for your parting shot, let me quickly get on the commercial, knowing fully well that something must sustain the program that we are doing. And it's on that note, we have always been inviting our members to bring their goods and services to be promoted on this particular program. And in a very short while, before you give the parting shot, I'll be going on a very short break. And when we come back, we'll round up the program for today with your parting shot, and I'll give the announcement. So stay tuned. I'll be right back.
As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICANN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized CIMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a CIMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICANN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the CIMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the CIMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Welcome back to all our viewers and to my guest today, Mr. Nelson who have been doing justice to our topic today, talking about opportunity for professional accountant in the emergence of the Nigerian sports economy. And he has come with the initiative of the TNFF that is being sponsored by the GTI Capital Limited. So time not our friend. Mr. Eneto, round off in 1 minute, or let me say 30 seconds, your parting shot.
Okay, first of all, let me thank the Institute for giving me the opportunity to be part of this program. It's been very, very exciting talking to every one of you. I've read some of the comments. I quite appreciate your compliments. And what I would say is that the accountants actually have a very good role to play. And the whole idea is for us to build a very viral, vibrant economy and look at various areas. A lot of areas we have neglected. We should focus on those areas. As far as we grow those areas, there's always the relevance of the accountant. Like I've mentioned, we are talking about accountability, we are talking about transparency, we are talking about financial reporting, proper financial reporting. It is the accountants. Even the advice to a lot of our athletes that are outside the country, they also need some very good financial advice in terms of financial management from the accountant. And we know that with what we are trying to achieve with the TNFF, is going to be a win-win for all stakeholders in this economy.
Very wonderful way to end the show today. There is always a relevance for every accountant. Let me specially recognize my doctor all the way from Ghana connecting with us this evening. Dr. Mr. Ene, I can assure you that I'll be inviting you. There's still a lot to talk about. Talked about the sports earnings, talked about the opportunity abounds for us at China. And I know when we call, you will definitely oblige us your time. So on this note, let me especially appreciate our guests and all our viewers connected globally, listening to us on this educative section of ICANN on air. And before I go, in just a minute, let me quickly once again reiterate to you that the 52nd Annual Accountant Conference, like you listened to at the beginning of the show, will be holding from the 10th to 14th of October 2022 at the International Conference Center and Sheraton Hotels in Abuja. And the topic is Nigeria adopting sustainability for economic prosperity. You can check our website to know all that it entails. For those that want to be there physically, you have your registration for 130. Those to connect virtually 75,000, and the young accountant 60,000. Note: terms and conditions applied for the young accountant. And let me state again that the World Congress of Accountants will be coming up November 18 to 21st at Mumbai, India. And you know the position of our institute. The topic with building trust, enabling sustainability. On this note, I will be winding up the program for today. Hope to see you again on Thursday for another interesting topic. I remain your host, Olusegun Okwade, FCA. See you again on Thursday. Stay safe and stay blessed.